Thank you for logging on. This is James Maroney from admissionfacts.com and firstchoicecollege.com with the first edition of College Chat. Statistics show that over 47% of college students need to take at least one remedial class when they're in college. Educators debate why this is, but one thing can't be overlooked: the fact that many colleges leave high school unprepared for the rigors of college work. Today, to speak to us about how you can prepare your high school students for the rigors of college work is Peter Burns. Peter, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me here, James.
And Peter, you just authored a book on study skills, and you want to tell us a little bit about your book?
Sure. It's called Success in College: From C's in High School to A's in College, and it's really about my story. It starts about my story of transforming from a C student to an A student, but now I'm a professor, and over the last, 20 years of being in the collegiate environment, it seems to me that many students don't know about the rigors of college, and therefore I decided to tell my story as both a faculty member and as a student to people, because they just don't know what is in store for them at college, and they're not really prepared for it, nor can they be.
Great. Now, I know you're a professor currently at Loyola of New Orleans. You're
Yes.
going to be doing a year as a visiting professor up at Dartmouth, and you've told me that you teach a lot of freshman classes. What are some of the biggest problems you see with incoming freshmen in terms of their study habits?
They don't have study habits. I think that's one of the key problems. They think that high school and college are the same, so they might study a night or two before an exam for a test in high school and think that that's going to work in college, and it won't, because there's just so much more material given to them. There's less guidance usually given to them about what will be on the exam, so 1 or 2 nights is not enough. And then you put that together with having maybe 5 exams in the same week, and students aren't ready for it. So I would say time management, study habits, they just don't have the kind of study habits they need. And then I think there's some other basic things too. Writing skills. I think students still have a difficulty crafting a clear message, which is okay. But you have to understand the mistakes you make and try to fix them, and you only do that through practice. And I find a lot of students are a little tentative to make mistakes, and I think it's okay to make mistakes as long as you try to figure out what's wrong with them. And then there are other things that are usually new for them too, James, like people don't know how to study from a book, okay, or they don't know how to take copious notes. They've never been in a lecture that's intense where the person is lecturing for 50 minutes and they have to take notes. They don't know how to study off of the notes. So I think those things are some of the in-class obstacles that students get.
You cover a lot of interesting topics there, and I know earlier we discussed a little, we spoke a little bit about time management. Are there any tips that you have for students on time management?
Yes. Treat college like it's your full-time job. That is 40 hours a week. That's going to be 12 to 15 hours in the class and about 25 hours outside the class. I would have a regular schedule to study. I would study in between classes. I would make sure that I protected my time. A couple of other things in terms of time management. You've got to know about the syllabus. I went to a conference, and one of the teachers said that the students do better when they learn that about the secrets of the syllabus. Well, the syllabus isn't a secret, but it's a secret to many students because they don't read it. They don't make note of the time, of the due dates. And so therefore, the syllabus is a secret to them. They should know about the syllabus. They should write down their due dates and assignment dates. They should make a master calendar. They should consult it. And then I think a 5 to 6 day work schedule. And build in their time for fun too. I'm not saying that college is a prison sentence. It certainly isn't, nor should it be. But I do think that students have to, 1, make college their priority, and then 2, map out time when they're going to study, and do it on a regular basis. Get into a rhythm and start on day 1. Start on day 1. I write in the book about the semester being like an avalanche. And when the semester starts, the avalanche has started. And students have to outrun that avalanche. And when students wait to study, and they wait 3 weeks to study, they're 3 weeks behind and they can never catch up. And then the semester owns them for the rest of the semester. It's like they're caught in an avalanche. And so I tell students, start immediately, make college your priority, and make sure that you give yourself enough time. And I think 2 hours outside of class for every 1 hour in class is a guide that most people give, and if you do that, you'll be fine. And you have the time to do it. You have the time to put in, even if you have a job, you have the time to put in. You just have to make that time and be rigid about protecting that time.
That's great. That's a great rule of thumb. 2 hours of out-of-class work for every hour in class. Another thing you had talked about earlier was that treating time like it's an investment. Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Sure. I tell students to think of time as if they had a financial budget. And when you make a financial budget, what you want to do is you want to figure how much money you have, what your bills are, and you want to make sure that you have more money coming in than going out. And I think for a college student, what they have to figure out is how much time is it going to take me to do the work, and then how much time do I have? And if you're supposed to be working 40 hours a week on week number 1, and in week number 1 you work 12 hours a week, well, you're in a deficit there of 28 hours that you'll never be able to make up. And then that continues to add on. So what I say is, you have to make a budget, and you have to say, okay, if I have to spend 20 hours this week on working on my schoolwork, where is that time going to be? Where am I going to get that time? And the other thing that's amazing, and it's true for people with money, and it's true for time too, when you make a budget, you think you got a pay raise. And when you make a budget with time, you actually think there's more time, because students will sit out and they'll talk to their friends for 2 hours, and they don't realize how valuable that 2 hours is until they say, oh, wait a second, I've got 2 hours between class. I can go and get 2 hours of studying done, and then I can do something at night. They just waste a lot of time like people waste money, and then you have to account for that time. And so I tell students who come in and say, I don't have enough time, I say, okay, here's what I want you to do. Make a chart of all the time you spend this week, and I want you to do it on an hourly basis. I want you to tell me what you spend your time doing. And if you're doing TV, computer, internet, cell phone, text messaging, I want to know. And then you look at it and you say, okay, where's my time? What can I change? And it's amazing when you look at your time and say, oh goodness, I wasted so much time doing things that weren't really important.
That's a great tip. We only get 24 hours in a day, and we're never going to get more than those 24 hours.
I think another thing, James, too, if I can interject here, is about sleeping. I slept 6 to 8 hours a day when I was in college. Now, I find a lot of students who are sleeping 4 hours a day, and I don't really think that's enough time. I don't think anybody thinks that's enough time to sleep. You have to build sleep in there. When students get avalanched, when they don't spend the time they're supposed to for their exams, they pull all-nighters, they study all night. Imagine doing something, trying to tap your brain when you've been up 24, 48 hours. It's very difficult to do. If you give yourself that time at the beginning, and you budget in sleep time, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
I think that's a very overlooked point. I think a lot of times you see it said that if you were running out of gas, you would stop and fill your car up. But people don't treat their bodies like their car, and they run out of gas. A lot of the students, and you're right, mental energy, you do need to have, there's some physical stamina that's required in order to exert the proper mental energy. Thank you very much, Peter. And if you want to learn more about tips on study skills, you can purchase Peter's book, From C's in High School to A's in College. It's available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and we'll put links to the book up on both AdmissionFacts.com and FirstChoiceCollege.com. Thank you for tuning in, and Peter, thank you very much.
Thank you, James. Thank you.
Thank you, and have a great day.